A landlord paid their tenant $2,500 up front to leave rather than evict them, but they didn't leave, and now they have to evict them anyway. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. Alright, so I have a lot of interesting stories that I want to share with you today, and they're coming from my comment section. I've been pulling comments out of the comment section from other landlords who just want to tell their stories, and you know what? These are good stories. They're good examples of the bad things that can happen to landlords. I don't like, talking about all of the negative all the time, but you know what? This is a warning for those out there who are naive to the way that this business works, okay? People, they will take advantage of us. They will use the law to try to, punish us, and they will lie, cheat, and steal in a lot of situations. Now, this isn't to say that all tenants are bad. No, not at all. But every landlord who's been in the business for any amount of time, any significant amount of time, has dealt with a bad tenant. And you know what? You have to be prepared for it. You have to have some kind of savings built up, and you have to be ready for the mental gymnastics that these people make you jump through in order to justify continuing doing this business. Now, let me say this first of all, okay? Yes, I have had many bad tenants over the years, okay? I've been in this business for 10 years, not as long as a lot of the people who watch these videos, right? But long enough to have dealt with these situations. But it still is worth it. It still is worth it because, I've not only taken control of my personal finances, but, I've built up just generational wealth that I could pass on to my daughter and my family. And you know what? That's the kind of thing that I got into real estate for in the first place. Now, everything isn't working out absolutely perfectly, but that doesn't mean that overall I'm not still doing well. But like I said, I've lost thousands of dollars to tenants who've not paid their rent, who torn my properties apart, and it happens. But you have to look at the overall picture, and don't feel like this one situation is enough to get you to just completely get out of the business. Now, keeping that in mind, also, I want you to say to yourself, hey, I'm going to go where landlords are treated the best. I'm going to, focus on making money in a place where they say, hey, you know what, we're going to allow you to be able to evict tenant if this tenant isn't paying you. We're going to allow you to set your own rents. That seems like those are things that are simple and should be easy, but they're not. They're not, and it's insane that so many landlords across the country have to jump through all these stupid hoops. So before I get into my first story, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. So do you believe that it is still worth it to be a landlord? I go through the comments all the times, and there are so many landlords on there who are saying, hey, I'm just getting completely out of the rental business. Now, like I've said, the number of affordable housing units, the number of housing units available for rent is decreasing in a lot of places due to all of the government regulations that are put into place, okay? Landlords, they don't want to rent their properties out if they think that, hey, there's no way I can make a profit. There's no way that I have total control over my business. And you know what? I can't blame them one bit, okay? If you are not happy doing this, go do something else. That is the smart thing. There are other ways to invest. There's other ways to make money. And you know what? Nobody has to be a landlord. That's what these tenants and these tenant right groups don't understand. We don't have to do this. We don't have to, put our tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars at risk to provide housing for a bunch of ungrateful people, okay? But anyway, let's get into this first comment, and see what it says. So this first comment that I'm going to be reading is coming from a user named Reggie Robinson 842. And let's get into it. Offered my aunt, who has been squatting in a foreclosure home since 2008, $7,500 to leave after I bought it through an auction. She accepted gladly, and I was willing to give her additional time. So we agreed to give her $2,500 up front to help with moving costs. Almost 90 days later, we're having to evict her after she refuses to leave. She's filed 3 family court petitions making all kinds of false accusations, all of which were dismissed. Unfortunately, this isn't a case where cash for keys was a great option. I'm out $2,500 plus attorney fees. She clearly, after 15 years, just will not leave. I assumed offering cash would get it done, but that may have been a miscalculation. Keep you posted, Tony. NTV is for January 31st. Wow, tough situation there. Reggie, that is tough, okay? I mean, especially since we're dealing with a relative, but, this is a warning that I give a lot of people, right? We don't mix business with family. Okay, it always turns out bad, and you're seeing this now, and this is gonna make the relationship between you and your aunt extremely difficult going forward. I mean, I couldn't even imagine going to Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner with a person who screwed you over out of thousands of dollars. Okay, that would be pretty awful. I mean, so I feel for you. When you paid the person, you paid her $2,500 up front. That was another mistake right there. Like $2,500. You can sign a contract, a promissory note, official, but the person shouldn't get their money until they are officially out of the property. Okay, and easy mistake to make. I know you trusted that your aunt would, she's related to you. You trusted that, she would make a good decision and leave and not screw you over. But, like I said, this is part of the reason why I don't mix, family and business, and that includes good friends as well, by the way. So, it looks like you're going to have to go through the regular eviction process. And unfortunately, legal fees, etc. I hope that you're able to get her up out of there as soon as possible, and maybe you'll be able to work on your personal family relationship going forward. But don't ever think you're going to get that money back. That money's gone. Okay, I would say that whether this was a family member or just any other tenant, you're never going to get that money back. Just write it off as a loss and let it go. That's the best way to look at it at this point. All right, so the next comment I have, and this person is out of Canada, and the username is Sue's iPhone, and she says, I'm in Ontario, Canada, where tenant protections are high, like in New York City. If you have a problem tenant or want to file a no-fault eviction, any lawyer will suggest cash for keys. 1 month's rent compensation is the law for no fault, but tenant groups instruct each other online to hold out for tens of thousands. If you won't do that on principle, expect 10 to 18 months of waiting for a hearing. Best way to avoid this is with vigilant application screening and building a good relationship while they're your tenants. And yeah, that's good advice, very much so, okay? So yeah, very, very good screening. I talk about that a lot, use every tool available to you to make sure that the tenant is good. I'm talking about background investigations, credit checks, call the employer, call their at least a couple of former landlords, okay? Get as much as you can to make sure that this is the best tenant possible. And if you have 10 tenants available, choose the best one if your local laws allow. Now, this is part of the reason why I'm always arguing against these laws that say, hey, we're going to take away these tools landlords have to screen their tenants, because simply put, you're taking away our only ability to make sure that we don't get screwed over. But I appreciate the comments from Canada. I don't cover a lot of topics out of Canada, but I see the laws there and the way that the landlords have the problems the landlords have to deal with up there, and I really feel for them, okay? I really do. And I see that things are starting to lean the exact same way here, especially on the coast right now. But some of the same laws that are passed up there, they are finding their way to the Midwest, the South, places that were traditionally considered tenant or landlord friendly, right? And so I see where the U.S. could be in 10, 15, 20 years if we don't really fight back against this sort of stuff, where we have less property rights, where the tenants are in total control and nobody wants to be a landlord, which explains why housing costs, especially in the major cities up in Canada, are outrageous. Okay, people can't afford housing up there, and it's crazy. So I used to really watch a Canadian real estate investor up there. I think his name was McKeever. I can't remember the name of his YouTube channel right now, but it was really interesting hearing about the way that he invested and how they were able to make money. And he always focused on not investing in like Toronto itself, but going further out, because the further away and the smaller areas actually had better investment opportunities because they had less tenant protections and less expensive properties. And there's always a lot that you can learn, even when you're looking at places that are not the same country. Okay, but because real estate investing, oddly enough, is pretty universal. The only question is, what are the specific laws for the place where you're going to be investing? That's the main thing you need to focus on. So I got one more comment I want to read. And this is a kind of a funny comment, and it's from Ed0078. And he says, "My God, get to the point." Okay, and this is about me. Okay, and I realize I kind of go off topic a lot. I go off on tangents. I get distracted very easily. So I apologize if I'm not exactly focused on just reading the story as quickly as possible. I could probably read a news story in about a 2 or 3 minute little segment, right? But I like to give people my opinions of the topic, what I think it means, and it takes a little bit longer. So if you don't like it, that's cool, but feel free to go watch somebody else's channel who delivers the news in their own way. And I will continue to deliver the news in my own way. So, if you have an interesting landlord story and you want to share it and possibly see it on the channel, go ahead and put it down in the comments section, or you can shoot me an email at tony@northomahainvestments.com. Look at the camera.
Chee.